do this in prime time. Under the bright lights for you on the sidelines. The fans in the stands keeping doubly bright high. The gridiron fly guys, the green and the gold, yeah, they call it the franchise. The gizmos, the miles, the moves, the Kepleys, old spaghetti legs. Ricky Ray, Willie Bless, and whoever comes next to bring back the chip and add another brick to the legacy. Cause it's double E over everything. Double E is a legacy. Double E over everything. Double E, we rising up.
For the first time in 2025, we get to play that song on the Postgame show. The Edmonton Elks pick up their first win of the season down at Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium as they beat the Ottawa Redblacks 39-33. Welcome to the Green and Gold Postgame show live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports, presented by Play Alberta as well. Iwanyk and Jay Milne with you here. Thank you to everyone for listening live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, watching on YouTube, or listening on podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Man, it feels good. What a way to start a July. An Elks victory in the month of July. As Dusty said on the broadcast, as Reed's talked about in his show this past week, as we talked about at the start of the season. They had not done that since 2022. The Elks begin July with a victory. They improved to 1-3 on the season, a game where they allowed the Redblacks to, and maybe I guess credit to the Redblacks for getting it closer at times. But this started very much with Elks dominance. And anytime Ottawa was able to get it closer, credit to the Edmonton Elks for finding ways to pull away. There's lots to get to on this show tonight. Your thoughts welcome, 780-218-9999. That is how you can text us, or you can also jump into the nasty chat on YouTube. And also, before I bring Jay in, just for the first time this year as well, Jay and Matt's big play of the game, it hit on Play Alberta.
Ooh, did it ever?
Elks money line. That was the sweater. Elks 22 points. No sweater. Trey Ford throwing 2 touchdowns. No sweater happened earlier. Dunbar Jr. with 4 catches. That happened in the first half. Was the no sweater. It was all money line. So anyone that rode with us on that on Play Alberta,
you will be happy.
Cha-ching. We are very happy. Jay.
Matt.
How are you doing? How you feeling?
Oh, there's just so much to talk about here. Well, first off, I mean, hey, a win's a win. A W is a W for a team that has started 0-5 and 0-7 and 0-9. Haven't had a win in June or July in the last 3 seasons, or since 2021, I believe. 22. So, hey, you got to celebrate that. Even if it is a game that you would say, or I mean, even in the pregame show, you said this is a part of the schedule where they got to pick up a win. But they still went out and did it. They still went out and, overcame a bit of a pushback from Ottawa. Ottawa started coming on, and you're thinking, oh, great. Here we go. Same old. Come out to a riveting, chaotic, point-filled first quarter just to let it all slide away. But they didn't. That's resilience. That's growth. So I think there's a lot of encouraging signs that came out of this game for Edmonton. But a win's a win, Matty.
Well, that's the big thing. Like we went into this going, this is a necessary win. Last week we talked moral victories. Can you have moral victories? And we walked away disappointed with how the game ended, but we were saying that there were moral victories, things that the Elks could be happy with. This week we went saying there were going to be no moral victories. And you're right, a win's a win. But even if we wanted to dissect this win, there's a lot of good in this one. This wasn't like a fluke win that we're like, oh man, they got lucky on this one. Oh, they squeaked this one by. They earned this victory from pretty much start to finish of this football game, that's the part that I'm very impressed by. I'm very encouraged by. Offensively, like right off the bat, how they came out, how they moved that ball down the field. You pointed out as we're watching the game, it was 6 plays, 68 yards, opening touchdown. Second drive, 6 plays, 70 yards, touchdown. That type of way to start a game. Like even defensively, I'll go there. First drive, give up a field goal. So it's 7-3. You go up 14. Did it when I came to camera? It was 15-3 because of that single on an extra point. What happens on that second possession for Ottawa?
Yep.
2-0. 2-0. Set the table for a defense that was much better today. Did they still have some of their concerns? Absolutely. It's still going to be a work in progress, I would say, when it comes to this Edmonton Elks defense. But right there, that was different from the past few weeks this season, where the Elks offense went out there, back-to-back touchdowns. It was 15-3. You could have allowed Ottawa to keep it nice and close right away, but no. 2 and out, we're taking this football back.
Yeah. In between the first quarter and the start of the second quarter, there was 4 straight 2 and outs forced by that Edmonton defense. If we're going to talk about a storyline coming out of this game, me personally, I think it's the defense. That was the group. We talk about facets of the game. Okay. The offense was doing their job. Mm-hmm. We'll get to the special teams because they did their damn job. They did a really good damn job again. For the most part, you're going to give something up once in a while. That's okay. So did Ottawa. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about Vincent Blanchard. 3 for 3. Mm-hmm. That's 9 points, Matt. What was the final score?
39-33.
Right.
And if you do the math, that's 6 points.
Right. That is the difference between winning and losing last year to this year.
He blew 2 field goals in BC. That was 6 points. That's the difference.
That's huge. But I want to focus for right now.
Well, actually, before we do that,
yeah, sure.
Perfect. Since that BC game.
Yeah.
Perfect. He deserves praise. He deserves credit. He deserves to not be pointed out. Kickers miss still. There are occasional misses here or there. I feel comfortable saying that, for the most, the Elks have a kicker for this season. Unless there is an unimaginable stretch over 2 or 3 games that we're looking at, I feel here's the thing. He went out there and I wasn't worried about any one of those kicks.
No.
Even him lining up, I'm just I don't know. He just looks like a CFL kicker that is proven, that deserves to be in this league. And kudos to Mark Kilam. Kudos to Ed Hervey for sticking with him.
Yeah.
While there was calls from all over the place. Media,
me included.
Fans, all of it. While there were calls for training camp, they might not have a kicker and stuff. They stuck with him. And it looks like at this very moment they have a kicker for themselves.
Yep. It's a storyline. I mean, that's 9 points that if you drop one of those, it's a much tighter game. It's a different game leading up to the end. And it forces Ottawa to do different things. It forces Edmonton to do different things. But because he was perfect on field goals, that's a huge difference. And it doesn't bring the emotional level of the team or the sideline down. You keep it up. When you get into field goal range, you're taking care of business. But yeah, I mean, that was great. But the defense, I think this was more of, we talked about it in the Green and Gold kickoff show about, what is this defense? Speed and violence was something J.C. Sherritt said he wanted this defense to be. Well, you saw a little bit of that tonight. You saw some piss and vinegar from this defense. Yeah, they bended quite a bit. They were bent over a bit, but they didn't break. Okay? Late in the game, a huge stop. Nick Anderson has a tackle for a loss, forces a punt. And then, there's 6 minutes left in the quarter 4. If Edmonton can sustain a drive and take the ball down the field, take some clock, it's game over. They can't. It's a 2 and out, but the Elks defense holds. When it mattered, critical stops at critical times, and the Elks defense did that. Did they have any, they had a couple turnover on downs, I guess. Nothing interception-wise or fumble-wise, but they got the job done. That's what I'm saying. My key to the game was to limit the big shots and take a couple shots yourself. Well, the Elks did that. Their defense did not. The special teams one was really the only big shot that they had, Ottawa. But Edmonton had 3 of their own. They took shots, or not 3. They had more. They had the Leak punt return. They had the long catch by Leak. They had Rankin.
Well, the big plays listed on the CFL website right now are 1 20-plus rush and 3 30-plus passes by the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've had any of those this
I don't
season.
think they've had more than 1 in that category. Tonight they had 3. That adds up.
They had 1 against Winnipeg. They had, so I got a week 3 against Montreal. They had, actually they had quite a bit. Montreal, they had those late.
Sure.
So I can't break it down fully there. And then against BC, they had that big one that Trey had. But they gave up a lot. And tonight they only gave up 1. In all those other games, they gave up a lot of those. And tonight they only made 1.
Yeah, big difference. I mean, and your key to the game, don't panic. Don't deviate. Well, they didn't. And it ended up catching Ottawa off guard when Justin Rankin ripped off that 74-yard TD.
What did you see on that run? Because you loved that run. What did
I
you
loved
see?
the play call.
You pointed it out to us on the replay after. What were you seeing there? And you loved what Jordan Maksimic did there.
It was a 2nd and 3. It was on the Edmonton 36. It was in Edmonton's territory. They caught them in a blitz by moving their offensive linemen around. They ran a trap. And if you look from the reverse angle from the end zone cut, that thing opens up like the Red Sea. You know, like it, bing, bang, Justin Rankin was gone. That was blocked to perfection, but it was called to perfection. They expected a run blitz because what were we talking about? It's like sometimes this offense can be a little generic where, okay, now they know they're going to run and they're going to stuff it. Well, if you counteract that with a nice designed run, designed to beat a blitz, you catch those seams. We saw Javon Leake do it last year quite a bit. That's all you need. You need to make one guy miss and you're gone. You're off to the races in the form of a 74-yard touchdown scamper for Justin Rankin. So yeah, that took some big cojones to call that and expect that and have that blocking scheme prepared at that time of the game, because that was a huge touchdown because they were stalling. That offense was stalling, but then you get that play and things just turn around.
Yeah, so they open up with 2 touchdowns. I'm just trying to, because they wouldn't show up as a drive chart, the Leak punt return. So there's the 2 touchdowns, and the Elks offense was punt, turnover on downs, field goal, and then touchdown. And that, like you're right, like it was a lot of consecutive outside of that one, the field goal just prior. They weren't getting the big points, and Ottawa was right there. And then Rankin does go off. Rankin, a wonderful game for him. Been waiting for this one this season. Yeah, like we saw this a few times from him last year. Been waiting for that Justin Rankin game, and it's also as the Javon Leake game. Like for the two of them, they both blew up absolutely. We'll get into that right away. I just want to read some nasty comments in the nasty chat. Nick in the North, JC rocking the t-shirt as defensive coordinator like a boss. J-E-E, not Jay over here. Did anyone else watching tonight notice that we didn't hear Terrell Ford's name once? There was brought up, but that's a good thing. Because
that's a really good thing.
I didn't notice him at all on the field.
Well, that means he's not getting the ball thrown his way.
They're too afraid to throw that way, or he's got great protection. I don't recall actually seeing him tonight on the stat
He had one
sheet.
tackle.
Is that what it is?
But he did not have a pass breakup, a pass to fit. They did not throw the ball his way. As a shutdown corner, that's about as good as you can expect. You don't want to be on the defensive score sheet.
That's money well spent at that point. If you're shutting down one side of the field, that's excellent. You're doing your job very well. So Terrell Ford, one defensive tackle, statistically not a great night, but we didn't notice him. We didn't see him. And that is a fantastic thing. Duck Dad, Elks can have a kicker for a long time with Blanchard. Lock this guy up. Rankin went beast mode. That's from Box Pounder. And like him and Leak. Leak had one catch for 46 yards, but he also had he had actually a couple nice returns. Obviously, we're going to know of the touchdown there. But Javon Leake tonight, 5 punt returns for 163 yards. He was averaging 32 yards on his punt returns.
Crazy.
He did some great things with that ball. And then Justin Rankin, 12 carries, 105 yards and a touchdown, 4 catches, 69 yards and a touchdown. If my math is correct, what is that? 174 yards and a touchdown all purpose?
It's a big night.
That's a huge night. It cost me fantasy potentially. I didn't play him. I benched him.
Who cares? Jay and Matt and Jay's big play of the day hit. That thing was almost cashed in the first quarter. I mean, aside from the money line win,
taking away the money line,
that was fantastic.
It was by the time halftime came, it was everything else was checked.
And that was
off.
plus 358. That's not chump
385.
change. 385.
I believe it was 385. I've got my money line bets already in.
Go to the inbox here, Matty. T-Bud says you got to throw that seam to the running back. He got me so jacked up. I just wish it was to the fullback. T-Bud is a former fullback, so he's allowed to say that. Hersey says, evening, fellas. The big key, I thought, was those first 2 drives, like Matt said. Huge boost to the team. I'm a Notre Dame football fan, and this past year, when they scored on the first drive, they rolled and seemed like the same with the Elks. Some things to clean up. I agree with that, but a lot's to build on. You can see the team improving week to week. I think that's really well said. The whole thing really, but I'll focus on the end. There's some things to clean up, which there is, but this team is constantly improving. If you put yourself in Coach Mark Kilam's shoes, the results may not always come. Okay, but if you're constantly improving, that means you're growing. That means things are moving in the right direction. And that was clear tonight. Because I'll tell you what, last year this team would have folded like a cheap tent after they were up that much and Ottawa started putting the boots back to them. They would have. That's just, that was last year's team. This is a different team. This is a defense that took that pressure on, and they answered the bell specifically late in the game.
That's a great point. So the Elks were up 22-3 at one point. Ottawa makes it 22-17 late in the second quarter. They actually get the ball back, can't get into field goal range at the end of the first half, but they start with the football. And they get a first down, but then the Elks, the defense, they got one first down, but they caused the punt, the defense. And you're right, last year, it's 22-17 after half. Ottawa starts with the football. They drive down the field, they score, they take the lead.
They score right away. And then it's game over after that.
And you know what this brings me back to from the kickoff show? What did Mark Kilam say from this week when we played? Learning how to win. That's learning how to win. Learning how to close games out, but learning how to not allow... A game's not always going to go perfectly for you. There are going to be moments where the other team is going to start having their plays, and you might have be on your down part of your game. You got to find a way to get out of that and get back to playing some good football without it just being like, here's the game. Here we go. Another loss coming. Like Winnipeg last week, we're done. Like mentally, they got through that.
Yep.
And that's the big part here for me. I think that's one of the steps we could look at for today was they learned how to close out of the football game, which I don't know if I would have said that enough last year.
No, not until later in the season. So that's why this is a positive sign earlier on.
Yes.
For this team. And it was almost like the shoe was reversed because Ottawa got themselves in, and this was a great point brought up to you on the kickoff show. Penalties. Mm-hmm. Ottawa's willing to take them. And boy, did they ever take them, and they were costly. I mean, Frankie Griffin took 2 roughing the passer penalties. One, which they revealed that would have been ruled a fumble on the 2-yard line. That's a totally different game at that point. Mark Kilam, and it's funny, we were listening to the broadcast and Dusty wanted to say, because we were both sitting here like, that's roughing the passer. Challenge that. And then Dusty was saying, well, Killam's got his flag out ready to challenge. And he knew it was. He
didn't want to say the pass interference or roughing the passer for some reason.
Well, I'll have to ask him.
I know Suits was focused on the fumble and whether that was a touchdown or not, or whether it was a pass going forward. And immediately we're like, well, he hit him in the head.
Yeah,
we saw it last week against Winnipeg.
Can't do
that. I'm not a biggest fan always about how soft some of those calls could be because they're not fully egregious.
Yeah,
but those are penalties. And we're immediately like that. That's what it is. And Dusty was, he was like, well, he's got the red flag. And I think he's going to, and he was about to say it. And then he stopped.
He was right on. He was bang on. It was roughing the passer.
I'm going to call him out on this one because as soon as Mark Kilam throws the challenge, he goes, I was going to say this, but you didn't say it, Dusty. You didn't say it. You didn't say it in time.
Well, look at this. Like Ottawa's 9. What are they averaging? 10 penalties a game?
It was 10 for
tonight. It was tonight it was 9 for 118.
Yeah.
And think of the costliness of these penalties. Frankie Griffin, it's tough to single one person out, but when you're taking penalties like that are game changers, because the second roughing the passer extended a drive late in and Edmonton ended up getting a field goal, which essentially put this to a 2-score game.
Well, on Justin Rankin's touchdown to open the scoring, there was a face mask,
which
immediately was added to the kickoff. So a single point changes the ball game. Like where Ottawa took some of those penalties, they were absolutely offsides. There were receivers with plenty of offside penalties tonight, which hurt them. And the Elks were able to take advantage of those situations and capitalize on those. I wonder, do we have points off turnovers? Well, there's only one turnover.
Yeah, both one turnover.
That was a third. That was that third down stop late. So and then nothing to really execute there. But no, it was a solid game here. This is the interesting part. We got to get into the quarterbacking here because this is fascinating to me is that we're talking, we're 20 minutes into the postgame show and we haven't talked about the quarterback of this team in Trey Ford, which is fascinating. It usually you always focus on the quarterback and stuff, but this was such a team effort. But he had a really good game himself. He was 15 of 17, 2 incompletions for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball twice for 14 yards. Cody Fajardo came in on 2 different series, which we'll get to right away here. He was 4 for 4 for 29 yards. The Elks had 2 incomplete passes.
That's phenomenal. Did it feel like a game that the Elks only had 2 incomplete passes?
No, it didn't. It absolutely did not.
Right? I mean,
that's a 90% completion rate.
But I mean, they only rushed the ball 17 times. 17 times for 115 yards.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Drew Brown threw for 43. Drew Brown.
31 for 43 for 316 yards.
Drew Brown had as many incompletions as Justin Rankin had attempts in the game. That was it. But I don't. What's time of possession for this game?
Pretty tight.
It was dead equal.
Yeah.
30-13 to 29-47. So I don't know what happened. I don't get the Elks not having, it doesn't seem like a lot of offensive snaps. But yeah, two incompletions.
When
I
you
guess
have
there's penalties.
The penalties, and then when you have bang, bang, 14 points on long plays, single play drives, you call them, a punt return for a touchdown by Leak, a 74-yard scamper by Justin Rankin. I mean, those are points putting up that's almost half your points, or just shy of half your points in 2 plays.
But still for time of possession to be virtually the same, 30-30.
Now,
before you actually, I just quickly, Chris saying it was awesome to see Ekholm at the Elks game today with his family. So Matthias Ekholm at the game tonight, which is nice to see. Sorry.
I want to compare this. It seemed like a tale of two. The first quarter and then the rest of the game. It was almost like the middle of the game was quite disorganized offensively for Edmonton. Do you feel like, because I wrote down this specifically. They came out and got the Justin Rankin touchdown 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get the single on the kickoff.
Yep.
Ottawa comes down, kicks a field goal 8-3. Here's the next 4 plays for Edmonton. A reverse, right, to Dunbar. First down. A screen pass. We haven't said that much. First down.
A lot of screens.
A misdirection on a fullback to the flats. First down. And then an inside slot back screen. Touchdown to Curly Gittins Jr. That's play calling. Then that went away in the second quarter and the third quarter.
Well, the difference was, and now we should get to it, was it's clear that there was the design today to get Cody Fajardo out there and mix things up that way. And they did it twice. The first time it happened was... Why am I not finding it in my sheets? What do they have him listed as? Oh, plays list. Sorry, my bad. Fajardo was listed coming in 9 minutes left in the second quarter. He completes a pass to Steven Dunbar for 15
really
for a first down.
A really nice pass.
Then he gets another pass complete to Mathis for 6 yards. Short of a first down. It was... I'm not going in order. I'm just going off his passes. Then they punted. Then later in the game, he completed a pass to Julian Grant. It was 2nd and 3. He then completed a pass to Rankin, but that was only for a yard, and they punted again. But that was at the end of the third quarter. So it seemed like at that point, at the quarter change part, it's like they planned for Cody Fajardo to come out. They talked about it on the TSN broadcast at halftime. I know Suits talked about it. How they didn't like it. They thought it killed the momentum.
I don't like it.
Okay. I will say I didn't. It did, to me, it killed the momentum. I didn't like them doing a second time. But I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth if I say I didn't like how this goes. And the reason I will say that is last year I called for this. I wanted them to do this the reverse. I wanted MBT out there, but them to throw in Trey Ford. So I feel like I can't call him Jordan Maximic out for doing something the reverse. I don't mind this. The other thing I did say as my key to the game was stick to your game plan.
Yep.
And the fact that it didn't fully work, he got his 2 completions. They did get a first down, but the fact that it didn't fully work in the second quarter, to not do it then at the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, to me then says you're going against the game plan, which then goes against my key to the game.
Okay.
So I guess I got to be full Jordan Maximic here because the 2 things are 2 things I've called for. But I will let you go off because I know last year you didn't like fully the idea of the different package for putting out a different quarterback like what we saw today.
No, unless they're totally different quarterbacks, like totally different. When did Cody Fajardo come in first?
So it was 9 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Okay. You know what Trey was in the first quarter? He was 8 for 8.
Yeah.
For 126 passing yards. Do not screw with that. I get it. If that was a game plan thing, well then, I'm sorry, throw it out of the game or out of the plan, please. Because if you have a quarterback that's rolling, the stupidest thing you can do is take him off the field. Why would you do that? It just seems ass backwards to me to take off a quarterback that is efficiently moving the ball downfield, like Elks fans have not seen this season. Say, sorry guys, now's not the time to implement our game plan. Trey is having he's seeing the field very well, very clear. Jordan up there, good job on the play calling. Let's keep it rolling. I get if it's part of a game plan, and I'm not 100% opposed to it, but for different reasons. I'll tell you what they shouldn't do anymore. Speaking of Fajardo, is mix that up on third down and short. That whatever they're doing there needs to stop.
Hey.
Do you want me to?
I'll let you maybe go with it first.
Well, okay.
I think I know we're saying the same thing here.
Chris Sadaway in the inbox says, what from this game needs to be addressed going into the next matchup against the Lions to get back into the West Division playoff picture next Sunday? That third down conversion package needs to be addressed heavily. The first drive, they go for it on third down. I'm sorry, that was not a first down.
No, it was not.
That wasn't even close.
No, it was not.
It was about half a yard short.
That was a terrible spot.
The worst spot in favor of the Elks.
Yes.
And it comes down to a measurement, and they still only get it by 2 inches. That was the worst spot I've seen.
The Elks should have turned the ball over on downs instead of got a touchdown on their first possession.
Just think of
Straight
that.
Up, they should have.
How bad that could have went.
That was
early.
bad.
Thank goodness they got that because it turned into a touchdown on that Justin Rankin screen pass. The third down, here's the thing. And this is just me. Maybe it's old man yelling at clouds, but forgive me. I have never, and you know this, I have never been a fan of bringing a cold quarterback off the bench to come in and handle your third down situation. Why are you taking the risk of a poor exchange from the center to the quarterback? And oh, by the way, when's the last time you've seen a third down quarterback that comes in for short yardage, get his head knocked off and he's injured? It doesn't happen. Why don't you just keep it in the same offense? And hey, I got even one more for you. Why don't you, instead of bringing everybody in and saying, hey guys, we're going to go here, why not spread everybody out and let your athletes be athletes? Do you not think Justin Rankin with a proper, established run can get a yard? He was getting it all night. So the third down definitely needs to be addressed because that was problematic. That really could have, that was early in the second half that they turned the ball over on downs. And Cody, they did it twice. They did it twice in a row. And I'm not saying this is a slight against Cody. It's just, that's so easy. That's so easy for the defense to tee off on that play, fill your gaps, fill your holes, and you're going to stop the quarterback. All it takes is one DB coming from the outside and pop him, and it's a loss of yards. So that's sorry, that rant over.
I'm good with that. No, it's just John Alberta. Yeah, the third down spot was good luck, but after 4 years of bad luck, we earned it. Nick in the North, McTavish throwing in a cold goalie for the shootout vibes. I forgot about that one. Good pull there. Nick in the North. Good pull. By the way, Trey Ford, you're just talking about him. He was 88% with his passing, which Fajardo was 100%. I've never seen this on post-game stats from the CFL, but they have an QB efficiency. They may have just added it.
Oh, that's been there, Matty, hasn't it?
I haven't seen the efficiency in my post-game stats. I don't think I've seen it for each game.
Yeah.
NCAA, there is no cap on efficiency. I believe the NFL's cap is 158.3 is your QB perfect efficiency. Trey's efficiency today is 158.3.
Pretty dang good.
I believe that tells me that the CFL is using like the NFL model, which is a perfect efficiency. 15 to 17, 212, 2 touchdowns. So Trey was looking pretty good. I've said it throughout this week that if the Elks lost, which I believed was a must win, and if Trey lost, there would start being questions about who should be the quarterback. I think those can be silenced once again for a number of weeks now. Trey is the starter of this team. And here's what I'm impressed with Trey. Here's what I'm impressed with Mark Kilam and Jordan Maksimic and JC Sher and the rest of this team is, the conversation that was heavy was how important is this win for the Elks? How important is it to go get this victory for many reasons, but also one that they should go get. And they did it. And they did it pretty well. And now that confidence is that hopefully will settle in with this organization, with these players. They go, we've got this. And now what comes up next week, 1 week from today, it's revenge. It's revenge from a week one where you could have had that game. It was a 3-point ball game late. If Trey doesn't throw that one interception, how does that game play out in BC? You could say for the Edmonton Elks, that was our first game getting together as a group. We needed to gel as a group. There's a lot of growing pains we needed to go through, and we've learned weekend after weekend out for 4 games. And now BC's on tap, and they've got to be feeling pretty good about that. Until somebody texted in, I forgot who it was, talking about getting ready for BC next week. Here's the big thing. You go beat BC next week. I know this is kind of early, and I know this is the small thing, but you sit 4th in the CFL West. You bump BC to last, depending on how much you win by, because season series will play into this. If you go win and you win by, what was the final score in that first week?
31-14, BC.
So you need to just go win by a little bit more than that. I don't know. That's what is that? I don't feel like doing the math. 16 points?
16, yeah.
You could find a way, then you're actually ahead of BC and you could sit 4th.
17.
You need 17 to pass it.
Yeah.
But you're right there. And now you're in that mix of the West once again. And then you get Saskatchewan. I like that Saskatchewan game, I'm not going to lie.
Look, a win is a win is a win because now it gives you the taste of it. And look at that, Matt. What was it? The scoring average was 21.7 points per game in the first 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
They put up 39.
Yeah.
Right?
You called 35 today.
I said 35-21 because that's what they've been giving up is 35 points, and that's what they've been scoring.
And that was a garbage TD at the end.
Well, I mean, it is what it is, but it's still less than what they were averaging. So for them to do that and a win, now you go, I mean, you saw on the sideline exactly what that win meant to that club.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the emotion of just the weight lifted off their shoulders. Can you imagine? And I hope we can get a video from the locker room because I want to hear what Coach Kilam has to say. I think there's going to be a lot of pride in his voice for being able to overcome a difficult start. A start that, although you and I maybe would say 0-3, yeah, it's reasonable. Not in that locker room. Those guys did not think that. That organization did not think that. Chris Morris and Ed Hervey did not think that. And now, with one little victory, that sets you on a totally different course. As opposed, think of this, juxtapose this in your mind right now. A loss today versus a win. How deflating would that have been to lose this game after that? How they came out and the energy they had and the way that offense was clicking. To come and turn around and lose that would have been very deflating.
It'd been the season.
Probably.
It would have given me that.
You never know, but that's
mentally it would have just been too crushing.
But the difference there is emotion. And emotion in that locker room, if it gets moving in the same direction and the vibes are high, think of how good of a week of practice they're going to have now next week, knowing that they got off the schneid. I mean, it's a remarkable thing, emotion. And I really want to see, and you could see it on the sideline. You could see it in that energy on the sideline. I love that they put the Gatorade bath on Kilam. Give me all the Gatorade baths. I can handle. I mean, that's his first CFL.
We should rotate. One of us goes and
just
Gatorade baths the other one.
Single bottle. And then we can put props on what color it is. And we won't reveal it till the end of the show.
No quarterback sacks tonight for the Edmonton Elks. But what did you make of the defensive line tonight?
Okay.
I don't feel like I feel like they got some pressure. I think there's still room for improvement. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. But I don't feel like they had a terrible game either.
Yeah.
I wish the CFL kept track of pressures.
Sure, that would be good, but I mean, at the end of the day, excuse me, Ottawa only rushed the ball for 89 yards. That's the majority of the defensive line's job. Is either to stop the run or open up the gaps so Nick Anderson can come in there and clean up. So I can't say that they've been terrible. They haven't been. Would I like to see more? Absolutely. I'd like to see more from Robbie Anderson, more from Brinkman, more from Serezna, just disrupting patterns. But they did have, truth be told, they did have Drew Brown on the run a few times.
That's the thing.
Okay, and Drew Brown looked a little unsettled early in the game. So you can claim. Maybe I should retract that statement and say move them up to maybe a B+, as in terms of the defensive line, because they were maybe quietly very efficient, the D line.
Yeah, and that's where I do wish, and I've ranted about this before. I'll always keep ranting about this. I don't know if anyone from the CFL does listen, but I wish they did one day. For about a season and 3 weeks, they kept track of QB pressures. And then coaches thought they was way too subjective, so they stopped keeping track of it. And it bothers me that they got rid of that one, because I feel like that is a much better indicator of how well a defensive line or an offensive line are playing than sacks. Because you could have one good play and you get a sack.
Yeah.
But that could be the only good game. Your defensive line plays all game. But if you are getting a lot of pressure and you're forcing Drew Brown out of the pocket or forcing him to throw the ball a lot quicker, that's a good game. And I really wish I had some sort of pressure to go on, because I do feel like they had a quiet, better game than they did last week. That there were a number of times where I do feel like Drew Brown was having to roll out, or Drew Brown was having to get out of the pocket, because the D-line was causing a little bit of problems in that pocket. And I do got to give him a credit for that, because then I think that did allow the secondary, who I thought also had a step up. Like Kobe Williams got beat for the Geno touchdown.
That's a hell of a route, though.
Hell of a route, but he makes a great play where he tips the ball. It almost gets caught afterwards, but he tips the ball. Justin Hardy can't get there. He named another great play a little bit earlier than that. Like, I feel like Kobe Williams had a pretty good game, but the secondary wasn't. I thought Geno Lewis could go off for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight. And when Geno Lewis got his first touchdown tonight, the Elks had a very big lead. They didn't allow those big plays to happen. Justin Hardy was only 45 yards on 5 catches, and one of those came late on that last drive. Like, I thought the secondary also did a pretty good job. And one thing you brought up earlier, on the kickoff show, I thought we saw a bit of it with the defense today too, was they didn't want to get beat deep. They didn't have a problem if you're going to throw down under.
Give it to them.
And then they came up and they made plays. Yeah. They did make some of those plays. Like, I'll throw second down stats for you here. Early in the game, they gave up a second and long, but it was only 1. On second down conversions at Ottawa Redblacks, and 2nd and 1 to 3, 100% conversion. 5 for 5. Okay. But on 4 through 6 yards on second downs, Ottawa, 71%. So not great. Ottawa had 12 second and longs. So 2nd and 7 or worse. They had 12 of them. The Elks only allowed them to convert 1 of them.
That's huge. That might be the stat of the night.
Against BC, that was 61% conversion rate. Today, it's down to 8%. And the part I love too, though, reading, is that it was 12 opportunities that the Lions had for 2nd and 7 and long. That means they had a good first down, but then on the second down, they still made their play. So I credit to the defense. You wanted to start the show that way. I have to say, like, that is, they did step up. Now, some might say this is just Ottawa. And to one degree, yeah, you're right. They only have one win. And I need to see them to go do it against another team. But confidence can build from this. This is where the seed might be planted and getting watered.
You know, you could say, that's just Ottawa. Or you could say, those points were in garbage time. I mean, everything that happens is good if it's happening in a victorious manner for this club, because it hasn't happened often, right? I wish I had a feather. I'd give you a feather and you could put it in your cap. Oh my gosh, where did that come from? Is that from the Gentleman Show?
Is this what you do?
That's what you do. Put your feather in your cap. I think that's the stat of the night.
Tales of the North Pen.
Oh, okay. Can you say that again? So they had 12 situations where Ottawa was 2nd and 7 or longer.
Yeah. So 2nd and longer.
And they only converted and got a first down once.
Ottawa only converted once. And I believe if I look quickly here, that was early in the game. Like that was first drive almost, or like, was that first drive for Ottawa?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, no, because there was a penalty there. So that one got called back. So I don't know where it was. But yeah, and throughout this season, we saw this team allow, and they've made it less and less, but like against BC, I'll go back to that first week if we want to talk about improvement in a month, because what was that first game? Wasn't that June 7th? The very first game was, I don't have the date. Do you remember when it was? June 7th? Was that the first game?
This year?
Yeah. Do you remember what Saturday was?
I'm not good at this stuff.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thanks for helping.
Well,
me
like
there.
Some people can just
June
name
7th.
a random
June 7th.
date.
It was June 7th.
And like that's a Thursday.
It's almost tomorrow's a full month from the start of the season. So in a month, how have they improved? Well, the BC Lions in that week were 61% on conversions of 2nd and longs. Today, Ottawa was 8%.
And I don't care who it is. These are professional. This is the CFL. This is professionals. Even if it's Ottawa, you still have to. And who cares? You can still go to your defense. They're going to have an off day tomorrow. When they come in on Tuesday, you go in it for film, and you're looking at that. You're saying, guys, look at this. This is what we did. You have to do that and acknowledge it and celebrate it, because that's a big task.
Andrea in the inbox, seems like they felt a bit out of their league playing with the lead. The feeling in the stands was the same, putting in the other QB killed the momentum, but they also never lost the lead the whole game.
That last point, I had this up. I was going to read it next.
Oh, okay.
That's important. That is this team, it's been hard for them to get a lead, period. B, sustaining it. Well, what happened last week in Winnipeg? It was 23-20 going into the fourth quarter. Winnipeg won 36-23. They did not keep the lead. They learned a lot from this game tonight. A great deal. Because, that's a great point. They did not, how am I supposed to say this? They always had the lead.
Well, they never trailed for a second in this game.
But that's an accomplishment right there. I mean, you could not sit here right now and say that, even if you're the biggest double E hater, whatever, you hate the CFL. If you watch that game, and if you watched all the games, you cannot sit here and say now that they are not improving.
Every week there's been improvement.
In one different area or another?
From BC to Montreal, improvement. BC to Winnipeg, there's been improvement. Winnipeg to Ottawa, there's been improvement. It's, okay, let's break it down. Kicking, massive improvement. Week 1 to week 5, major improvements. The return game, I don't know if I'd say there's improvements. They got a touchdown tonight. They were good this year. They've just been good, I think.
They've been good.
Part, right? So,
special teams has been the best facet for sure.
Although giving up the touchdown, not good. I will throw that one out there.
Tit for tat.
I think Mark Kilam's going to be pretty upset about that one.
It's going to be an easier pill to swallow knowing that you got one yourself.
But that was a huge momentum shift in that one. And as a special teams guy, I'm sure Mark Kilam's going to be pretty fired up about that one. Defensively, from week 1 to week 5, we talked about the second downs there. Didn't give up the big play touchdown today because it was the punt return. When you look at Ottawa's touchdowns, there was nothing there wasn't that big play that I would say that absolutely killed them today. offensively, they move the ball well. And maybe this is also part of what we're seeing is Jordan McSimmy slowly opening up his playbook because it's more complex and he's getting things going. But the offense seems to be understanding his playbook more. They keep doing more things and being more innovative and not just cookie cutter offense. And you pointed out the one drive he had with the touchdown, with the second touchdown of the game, doing some different things.
4 misdirection plays in a row.
And that's just full improvement for this team. Now they got to keep going. You can't stop here. You can't just feel like, yeah, we're good. We're ready to go. 10 wins this season. It's boom. It's ours. Let's book our rooms in Winnipeg. You got to keep that growth going, but a lot to keep building off of. That room should be feeling pretty good about themselves with what they've done over the course of a month. Well, being 1-3 is not good. They're not going to be happy about 1-3, but if you take the actual wins loss out of this, I would have to think that room would be pretty happy with what they've done so far this season in terms of building.
100%. You have to take it and be happy about it. Now, we did talk about things. I mean, you just pointed out the second down conversions for Ottawa, which overall were 45.8%. Edmonton's, though, this has been something that has not improved. This has been an area of their game that has not improved from week 1, is their second down conversion rate. They have a very hard time picking up second down. Like when I talked about that second drive of the game, first down, 4 first downs in a row that led to a touchdown. They didn't have to convert a second down. They've been very efficient on first down, but tonight they were 33.3% on second down conversions. That is well below the league average. The league average is about 47%.
Well, they were 1 of 4 on second and shorts. They only converted 1 of them.
Yeah.
They didn't have a single second and mid conversion. They didn't have an attempt for that. Second and long, 31%. They were 5 of 14.
Although I was sitting here applauding the play calling of Jordan McSimmy and in the creativity, don't lose that. Don't say, oh, well, we can't trick them again. They're going to think, no, keep it coming, baby. If they can't stop it, if they can't manage and handle what you're doing, well, keep going there. You don't always have to do an inside reverse or a fullback, but don't be afraid to go back to the well every once in a while, because that play calling did get a little stagnant, especially in the second quarter when they were coming back. But once again, that can be improved. And like you said, maybe this is Jordan McSimmy evolving and showcasing a little bit more of his playbook week over week.
Coach Mike, 10-win season is alive. Elks 2-3 after next week. BC looks beatable. That coming in from Coach Mike. So far this season, outside of week 1, BC hasn't looked solid. I'm going to be nervous about Nathan Rourke against Edmonton until I see otherwise, though. I will just say that, especially with what I saw in week 1. But yes, I feel good about that 10-win prediction. I was just going through the schedule right before the post-game show. I like where I see, like, I still actually have, and I wish I marked it down somewhere. We did it on the show together. I'd have to go back to that one. I think I had the BC one. No, I think I might have had that as a win. No, I had that as a loss.
No,
possibly.
The first one you had as a loss in BC. The second one would have been a win.
Well, but I had the win, and I think I flipped it. Like, it was, I could 1 win, 1 loss between BC and Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Because I didn't have them going 3-3, I don't think. But it's going to be close. Go ahead.
Sorry. Matt Hyman asked, genuinely curious, how was the attendance? Mark sent this in the inbox. Week 5 attendance numbers, Ottawa at Edmonton, 16,588.
Yep. That's what I have.
That's okay.
No, it's not.
Hey,
no,
for a team that's 0-3, that's pretty darn good. What was it the week before?
14 something?
Right. What do you think it's going to be next week? Now you're going to scrape over 20 probably.
I would hope.
A big game.
I would hope.
But this is it. These fans are, they're not, they just want wins.
But it has to be consecutive over many years.
Yeah, well, get out and support the squad now. Go out and fill those seats up a bit. I know. More. You've got a team that, poured their damn hearts out tonight. I thought it was a genuine team win. Offense, defense, special teams. Now there's no reason to say, oh, well, I don't know if I want to go. I understand low attendance numbers if your team stinks. This team has been improving every week. A week from today is a huge game.
What do I got for an early forecast for next Sunday? 22 degrees.
Nice early start.
5 o'clock.
You know?
I like the 5 o'clock start on a Sunday.
Oh, I love the 5 o'clock start.
No school the next day?
Who says who? Oh, yeah, there's no school for kids.
Who says who? I know there's no school.
I thought you said no work or something.
No, I'm talking about school.
We don't sleep, Matt. You and I, we just work.
That's all we do.
As I'm coming off a week of holidays.
and taking another day off very soon.
Yeah, well, you force a man to take days off. He's going to do it.
I didn't force that one. You asked for that one. Don't you put that one on?
You were very generous.
No school. So that's not even a thing. It should be nice weather. K-Days hasn't started yet. So there's not a lot. Like, I don't know what do we have? Street Performers is coming up right away. I think it's Street Performers. So like there's things to do. The Stingers aren't back. The Stingers won tonight at the Expo Center. They're not home again until August.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and I think the Riverhawks go on the road here, or is it All-Star Week? No, they're on the road. No. Yes, they're on the road. They're on the road. So, like, you don't even have the other sports teams in town. You're right. Like, I hope you're right. I hope people do support. I'm just not so sure as of yet.
Southside Ty in the Nasty Chat says more people would go if it wasn't so much money. Yeah, you can get in for $25, but the seats are standing only. Nobody's doing that when $25 gets you great seats at the Riverhawks. $60 for a half-decent seat is brutal. Southside Ty, I would recommend this. Here's just a little secret. Pay the $25 for a standing room seat and go sit wherever the hell you want. Literally.
Unless it's sold out at the lower bowl, there's room to move.
Nobody's going to say anything to you.
There's room to move.
If somebody says, oh, you're in my seat, move to the row behind you. There's seats there.
Or there will be open
situation
seats
down there. It's not, just go, because $25 is a pretty reasonable price for a professional sporting event.
Well, right now, and I know they release tickets slowly, so not everything's always listed. There's not a lot of tickets for sale right now for next Sunday's game. I'm just going to say that right now. Okay, but I guess it's if you're going to be picky of where you're sitting, that's going to matter. There's actually really no tickets for next week right now. They're going to want to release some tickets. I'm just going to tell you that right now, the Edmonton Elks, if you're listening, release some tickets, because right now I'm on Ticketmaster and there's nothing available. And I know you have more than this available because you're not looking at a lower bowl sellout at this moment. For $30, it's no alcohol section for $30.
There's a no alcohol section.
It's the not whole gang section.
Oh, okay. Like that's a kid section.
Well, there's also adult admission in that area these days. I don't know if you have to be with a kid or not.
What's adult admission?
Adult.
Oh, okay.
Like an adult.
Depends on the day.
But yeah, I'll have to see where the rest of the tickets are. But yeah, there's a party deck for $25. But you're right, Jay. Like there's
until they're sold out.
If you look next to the standing section, you're gonna find empty seats. Go sit down. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Anywhere.
Don't go mid 55-yard line.
Go for it.
Jay says go for it.
You might for it. Why not?
Like if you look at other spots, like there are spots to sit there. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually do like standing. I like standing on that north side. I like that.
Where
underneath the scoreboard.
There used to be a bar over there, right?
CW's bar. Never got to go there.
Tango
it's
says
never open.
Kids are less expensive if you go to the box office. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, VR. I have a standing room ticket, and I've never had a problem sitting. There are spots to go sit. Look, here's a day you're going to have trouble sitting. Labor Day rematch. Say that right now. That one's going to be tough one. That's usually a much higher ticket sold. Last year, I think they sold out the lower bowl in the end. You're gonna need to buy your ticket in the seat. That's that day. For the rest of the games, right? Especially next Sunday, we're talking maybe 20,000. That means there's about 13,000 open tickets, open seats.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. You can absolutely go and still find a seat, even if you get those ones. So
maybe he's just too honest. Maybe we're deviants.
Yeah, I remember going as a dad. I'm like, what?
What have you not told me, Matthew?
Jay, I forgot to tell you while you were away. He would get tickets for the Oilers It was Superstore. It was like $44. You get 2 tickets, 2 hot dogs, and 2 pops. Imagine that these days. $44. Section 300 at the old place. And we'd sit there for like a period. We would look below, and then we'd move down to where no one was sitting.
Yeah.
And I think like maybe once in my life, somebody came up like, these are seats. I'm like, oh, sorry. And then we moved
to the next row.
We're all good.
It happens.
That's all you have to do.
Chris Sadaway says, thanks, guys, for the best Elks pre- and post-game coverage in the city. You bring it every show. Appreciate the high-level breakdown. Chris, we appreciate you listening, and we appreciate everybody listening. This is fun, and it's more fun, obviously, when the team is victorious.
Yeah, I was saying last couple of days, if they lost, it was going to be spicy today. But I'm very happy we don't have to be spicy. Yeah. I didn't want to be spicy today.
No, I didn't
want to be spicy today. And I'm glad that the Elks found a way to get a victory. We're not sitting here going, man, they snuck this one out. Man, they really squeaked by. Man, next week it's going to be tough. Like next week, the Elks should be underdogs again against BC. If you're Play Alberta right now, what are you setting that line at?
Ooh, I love this game, but I'm terrible at it. Okay, so BC is in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Both teams are coming off a win.
We're saying Nathan Rourke is the starter still because he's back. I don't think there was any injury in that game.
I can't see it being any less than -3.5 for BC.
Yeah, I was going to say -2.5 for BC.
That would be surprising to me.
You think BC a little higher?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I still think BC would be favored. Like quite, I don't know if not substantially, but enough.
Well, I will say that I like just looking at this week, and I took advantage of this. It seemed like they were fading the BC Lions a little bit. They were the underdogs going to Montreal, MPT versus Rourke.
Well, and who knows what happens? Maybe half the BC team suspended after that brawl after the game last night.
Oh, that's actually a really good point.
Who knows?
Well, the other thing too, like the Elks got a team, and we mentioned on the kickoff show, coming off of a shorter week than the Elks did. The Elks had that in the mini bye. The Elks will have a full week off. They're going Sunday to Sunday. BC's they're Saturday to Sunday, so they only get an extra day. But that extra day involves traveling across the country, Montreal back to BC. That's a bit of travel that they're going to have to experience. So there's a little bit of an opponent coming in that's having, I don't want to say they're on a short week, but it's going to be like equal. And the Elks actually, it's not even equal. The Elks don't even have to fly on a plane. BC's going to have to do it twice. They flew on the plane from Montreal back to BC, and now they're going to have to fly here to Edmonton and spend a night here. So the Elks, I'm sticking with 2.5. I would say if I was doing the line, it would be -2.5. Duck Dad saying -6.5 for the Lions, and I'm taking the Elks. I'll say this.
If it's -6.5, I'm all over
Monday's usually a day that Play Alberta finds their way to drop their lines for it. I'm going to look closer. I'm going to say the Elks are going to be a little bit closer, but I think the Elks are the underdog going into that one. But I have a lot of hope and promise that they could go win that football game. Before this game, I would have been a lot more worried about that game. The question will be, can this defense handle Nathan Rourke's legs? That's what killed them last time.
Yeah. And Drew Brown did not threaten them at all with his legs.
No.
What about this comment from Andrew Lamouche? Still would like to see the defense be more dominant out there. I mean, I know we touched on it earlier, and I agree. I do agree, but this was a bend, don't break situation tonight for the Double E. I think they could have been a lot worse, but they rose to the occasion. They made some critical stops at key times, specifically late in the game. I mean, Drew Brown and the Ottawa Redblacks had the ball at midfield. They had already picked up a first down, and then Nick Anderson makes a great stop on William Stanback, drops him for a loss. They have to punt. They would have loved to go. If that was 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, they're going for that. There was only 6 minutes left. But instead, he drops him for a loss. Now you have to punt. So when they were needed most, they showed up, I thought.
I agree with that. Overall, a solid victory for the Edmonton Elks. They should feel pretty good about this one. I think Elks fans are feeling pretty good about this one. And now you've got BC coming in next week where It's a short week in the Canadian Football League. This happens, I don't know how many times in the CFL season, but we're getting one early. There's only 3 games next week. 3 teams are on a bye. Winnipeg's on their second bye. Is Montreal on their second bye? Is this their first bye? And Toronto's on a bye this upcoming week. It'll be Calgary, Saskatchewan on Friday, Ottawa, Hamilton on Saturday, BC, Edmonton on Sunday. A big Western weekend coming up. Because, if the Elks could go beat the BC Lions, and let's say the Riders beat the Stamps, the Edmonton Elks will sit equal points with the BC Lions at 4, and they'll only sit 2 points back of the Calgary Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
How things can change.
Plus,
how the turns have tabled, Matthew.
Plus, on the flip side, you look at the other side of things. They'll have, if they win next week, they'll have more points than the Toronto Argonauts. And depending what happens between Ottawa and Hamilton, they'll either be tied with Hamilton and Ottawa, or they'll be ahead of Ottawa on points. So they're right in the thick of playoff things, both crossover and in the West, if they could pick up a win next week. Which, if they play the way they played today, did they beat the BC Lions?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, they do.
I would agree.
Yeah, they do.
The BC's had one good game.
I just think right now, if the defense particularly can hold their own, I think the offense has proven. Hey, it may not be the sexiest way to get a win, but they're getting it. Justin Rankin, feed that man the ball more. I want more. I want 20 rushes for Justin Rankin. That needs to happen.
But I'll say that it seems whenever there's games, Leak and Rankin are doing things, and this goes back to last year, that's when the Elks have their most success. And Leak was doing things in a different way, catching the ball, but also the return game. When we're talking about those two in positive lights, the Elks have won that football game. And we don't even talk about Trey Ford. We don't have to even talk about how great Trey was. He was solid today. But it's the team that also stepped up with.
Look at it this way too, Matty. Have the Elks improved more than the BC Lions since week 1?
That's a great question.
I think BC actually might have regressed.
They did.
So you're looking at 2 totally different teams from week 1.
Yeah.
Right? The Elks have found their stride in their running game. Trey Ford has found a little bit of consistency in the passing game. The defense woke up tonight and played a game that you'd be happy, for your team defense to play.
Is Nathan Rourke healthy?
And special teams, Matt. Don't forget about special teams.
Next week will be a fun one. What was it? Kevin Van Dassler. So why can't they do a 3-team bye and play on Canada? It's a weakness in the schedule. That's actually a great point. If we're doing a 3-team bye this early into the season, they could have absolutely played a game on Canada Day and put one of those teams that was going on to the bye next week. Could have done that. Or move the 3-team bye to this week and played someone. I don't know. I'm with you, Kevin Van Dassler, on that one.
It's a tough thing to do when you have a 9-team league.
Yeah, but they play games on Canada. Make it work.
In a 5-team division.
Make it work on Canada. Make it work in Canada. That's all I'm saying. Andrew, so $20 gets you standing room only. Yeah, but you can go sit. That's what we are saying. That will wrap up the Green and Gold post-game show. Elks defeat the Redblacks 39-33. They improved to 1-3 on the season. Their first win of the season. Mark Kilam's first win as a Canadian Football League head coach. Didn't really run through the stats. Trey Ford, 15-17, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rankin, 12 carries for 105 yards and a touchdown. He also caught the ball 4 times for 69 yards and a touchdown. Dunbar, 6 catches, targeted 6 times, all catches, 55 yards. On the other side, Drew Brown on his return from injury, 31-43, 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. Geno Lewis in his return, 75 yards and a touchdown, but it's not good enough as the Elks are victorious. Coming up tomorrow, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, we got the Nielsen Show. We've got the Hangout, Lock Shop, Oil Stream, EST Afternoons, the Reed Wilkins Show. Reed is not here. You are back, however, with Tom Gazzolo for that.
That'll be fun.
And then just a quick reminder, we're going to have to plug this tomorrow quite a bit. Tuesday, we will have the morning show from 6 until 8 a.m. And then on our audio streams, it will be a replay of that. On our YouTube channel, we will not have any other content that day. It will be the EST Golf Classic presented by Play Alberta. We're out having our golf tournament, so we will be off on Tuesday. So apologies to everyone about that. For those that are golfing, you're excited about that, but to everyone else, we will have just the Nielsen show for a couple of hours, and then we'll be back on Wednesday with full 6 to 6 live weekday programming. As I said, the Edmonton Elks defeat the Ottawa Redblacks 39-33. This was the Green and Gold kickoff, or post-game show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, presented by Play Alberta. Thank you to everyone for tuning in live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, tune in, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, watching on YouTube, or listening to this on podcasts. We do appreciate each and every one of you. On behalf of Jay, I am Matt. Thanks for tuning in to the post-game show. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Jay will talk with you on the Lock Shop tomorrow with Dusty. I will talk with you on the Hangout. Dave Pagnotta of the Fourth Period in studio. Tune in for that. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We will chat with you tomorrow.